You again? That creepy gym guy that's always staring across the room? Just kidding. In today's video, I want to discuss caloric intake on a ketogenic lifestyle. How do I figure out how many calories I need? Okay? There are a couple ways that you can do this, all right? The easiest way is through a simple calculation, which I'll show you in just a second. But another way is to basically keep track of what you eat for a week. You write everything down, you count the calories, and after 7 days, you take the average of that number. So let's say hypothetically it's 2,000 calories. Let's also say that at the start of the week and at the end of the week, the weight did not change on the scale whatsoever. In theory, you could say that basically you consumed your daily intake that helps with maintenance. So that would be the caloric intake that you would need to stay at the same weight. Well, since this is about fat loss, we would need to create a slight deficit. So you could take anywhere from 200 to 500 calories off that 2,000 to come up with roughly your caloric intake. So that's one way to do this. Another simpler way is to take the trusty calculator and take your body weight and multiply it by the number 13. And again, there is no exact science to this, but at least gives you a good ballpark to start with. And whatever number you come up with, if after a week you follow it to a T, you know you've taken in the calories you're supposed to and there was no loss, then you at least have something that you could drop from. But we need to have some consistency. So that's how I like to do this. I basically take my weight, I'm going to say 153, I'm going to multiply it by the number 13, that's the number I choose, and I come up with 1989, right? We'll say roughly 2,000 calories a day. All right, so basically that would be the caloric intake that I'm going to start with. Now I'm going to use me as an example to develop these calculations to determine how many calories I should eat on this ketogenic lifestyle. And I'll show you how simple this is, and you can follow along and do this for yourself, all right? So first, you take your weight, you multiply it by the number 13. If you want to be a little more aggressive with your weight loss, you could even go 11 or 12, somewhere around there, but I like using 13. Get your baseline number. All right, now once you have that, the ratios are as follows on a ketogenic lifestyle. We want 70% fat, right? 27% protein, and 3 to 5% carbohydrate, all right? So it's primarily more of a high-fat diet. If you make the mistake of dropping your carbs, dropping your fats, and really cranking up your protein, as I alluded to in an earlier video, that is not a good idea because through a gluconeogenic process, your body's gonna take a lot of that excess protein and turn it into a carbohydrate, which defeats the purpose of a ketogenic diet, okay? So again, 70% fat, 25 to 27% protein, and 3 to 5% carbohydrate. So how do we do this? So I'm gonna take my 2,000 calories, right? I'm going to multiply it by 70%, okay? I get 1,400 calories. So out of that 2,000, roughly 1,400 calories is gonna be fat. But how many grams is that? Well, we know 9 calories equals 1 gram. So I'm gonna take that 1,400 calories, I'm gonna divide by 9, okay? That's gonna be roughly 155 grams of fat. So I know on a daily, on my daily intake, I want roughly about 155 grams of fat, okay? Let's now take that same 2,000 calories and let's multiply it, because I want to be aggressive here, by 27% for the protein. I get 540 calories, right? I'm going to take that 540 calories and we know that it's 4 calories per gram on protein. So divide 540 by 4, that lets me know I need roughly 135 grams of protein a day, all right? So far we're at 155 grams of fat, 135 grams of protein, okay? And now we're going to take 3% of the 2,000, all right, times 3% gives me 60 calories, all right, for the carbohydrate. That's also 4 calories per gram, so I divide that by 4. That gives me 15 grams of carbohydrate, right? Pretty aggressive there. So again, roughly 155 grams of fat, 135 grams of protein, and 15 grams of carbohydrate, which isn't much, right? But this is how I like to calculate roughly my starting point on this lifestyle. If after a week or so I'm not seeing any kind of loss, which I always do, but if I do not, then that would be my starting point. I would slowly start to chisel away from there, all right? I'm gonna talk in future videos on how do I set up my meal plan and how do I get my fats and how do I get my protein. But in this particular video, I wanted to show you how to calculate your calories. All right, be blessed, everyone. Bye-bye.